Dan Mowdy is standing by with Jennifer Talarico, and they're going to talk about memory. Here's Dan.
That's right, Gary. An area that I could definitely use some help with, that's for sure. Jennifer Talarico is an associate professor of psychology here on the Lafayette College campus, and did some interesting studies, some of which were kind of wrapped around the famous 150th most played college football rivalry, Lafayette and Lehigh. Jennifer, welcome to our halftime show here at Lafayette Sports Network.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Now, I understand that the phrase is flashbulb recollection. Is that like paparazzi-inspired memories, or what are we talking about?
Not bad, not bad. So the idea is this is an old term, comes from the 70s, right, when we still had those analog cameras, right, and a flashbulb would go off and capture the whole scene indiscriminately, right? So the idea was when something important and emotional happens, your brain takes a picture of it and preserves all of the details so that you can remember that, you can recollect that experience in the future with all of its detail as if you were reliving it in the here and now, just like you did at the time that it happened.
And I would imagine this is for a very significant event.
Very significant event. So we're talking 150th game, rivalry, any sort of Lafayette-Lehigh game. But really the phenomenon started with looking at sort of historically important events. So the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the assassination of Martin Luther King, the terrorist attacks of 9/11, things like that would occur on a grand historic scale. And it was really about how you remember your experience of learning about that event, not so much the facts of the event itself, what time it happened or those kinds of things, but more where were you and what were you doing when you learned about that event.
Interesting. And how did this work with the 150th contest between Lafayette and Lehigh?
Well, the 150th game gave us a really good opportunity to take a really important, really emotional event, but an event that was going to be experienced differently whether your team won or lost. And so we were very fortunate, right? Lafayette won very decisively, big win, and so we were really, really happy about that outcome. The Lehigh fans, not so lucky, right? They lost that game. We're probably pretty bummed. Now, the study that I actually conducted with a research student of mine in the past, Kier Moore, we actually studied, unfortunately, a former game that Lehigh had won. But what we showed is that the winners tend to remember that memory, right? They rehearse it, they talk about it, they relive that experience, and it serves to maintain that event in terms of a bonding experience. I can share my memory, you can share your memory, and that brings us closer together as individuals, as fans, and we certainly expected that to be the case with the 150th game as well.
Phenomenal. I know you received your doctorate degree. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I know it's not recent history, but
It's not that long ago.
at Duke University, well, that's true. At Duke University, which is a great institution, and they had something similar, I guess, as far as the big rivalry between North Carolina and Duke.
Yeah, so my graduate degree was from Duke, and my graduate advisor actually has done some work, similar sorts of things, looking at the Duke-UNC rivalry game in basketball, showing, again, similarly, winners tend to relive wins, remember those positive events really accurately, and in fact tend to misremember things or make mistakes in such a way that you exaggerate high points and minimize low points, right? So if the officiating maybe isn't so good, you're going to remember them calling more plays for your opponent and against you than the other way around, right? That makes your team look good, makes the other team maybe not look so good.
I can't imagine that goes on here on this campus. It's good you've done this study, though. It's very interesting. There's so much behind sports psychology. It's kind of interesting to have a local peek at it. Jennifer Talarico, thanks for joining us here at the Lafayette Sports Network during halftime.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
All right, great opportunity for undergrads to be a part of these studies that go on here on the campus of Lafayette. Now back to Gary and John.